This is a story written by Sunny Brooks, and it's the second story of two, and it's called Chooley the Moonwalker. Chooley was the brightest girl. She loved adventures too, learning about the big wide world, using her skills so new. Dad would discuss life's meaning, how the universe was made. We can't understand, but we have faith. The plan's already laid. She looked at her own surroundings, at the garden so messy but green. I know this place is a beautiful home, but there's so much more to be seen. On a starry moonlit night, Larry snored softly in his shell. Julie and Mum were chatting, and everything seemed well. Her eyes would not leave the big bright moon, shining in the dark like a pearl. Thoughts were forming in her mind. She was an exceptional girl. She had big plans and dreams ahead, plans of travel into space. One day I'm going to the moon, but much faster than Dad's pace. At the mention of his name, said Larry, in your dreams, I don't know where you get your ideas or come up with these schemes. Mum cried, your father's only got 3 speeds, slow, slower, and dead slow. I could have been an athlete, Larry said, I'll have you know. One morning Chooley practiced moves. Across the grass she tumbled. A rush of wind swirled all around, and under her it rumbled. Out of control, up, up she went, and was lifted up so high. A hawk swooped down and grabbed her foot and lifted her into the sky. His savage eyes looked down at her. His long, sharp beak was yellow. With great long talons and powerful wings, he was a fearsome fellow. He let her go and dropped her into his great huge nest. He pushed her down between the eggs. She thought this wasn't best. The whole tree shook when he flew off. Big chicks were coming out. She saw her chance to creep away. From here she couldn't shout. She tiptoed gently along the branch, balanced like a tightrope walker. She'd always wanted to climb trees, but didn't need a stalker. A boy was flying a diamond kite with a trailing ribbon tail. She stretched and reached, clinging on, determined not to fail. High in the air she flew and danced, just swaying in the breeze. Up, up, the kite soared. She looked down from high above the trees. A huge great basket floated past, and Chooley took her chance. She grabbed a sandbank on its side, her journey to advance. The bag was wet and slippery, and Chooley slid right down. There she dangled from the side, scared of falling into town. Just when she felt she couldn't hold on, in the bag she found a hole. The sand was damp between her toes as she dug in deep like a mole. Up in the silent skies there came a great big deafening roar. High above the burners glowed. She was more scared than before. This huge balloon was so immense, but she could see it burning. The pilot seemed quite unconcerned, with danger at every turning. She saw a plane come very close, and on its wing alight. She threw a rope around it, swung right across and landed right. The rope dropped back and she was left there, standing on the wing. The wind pushed at her, she stood firm, and then began to sing. Everybody's gone surfing, come swiftly through the air. Julie thought she was riding the waves, and she really didn't care. The aeroplane, it flew so high, a rocket came alongside. She caught a fin, pulled herself on, and found a place to hide. Far into space the rocket went, its engines going whoosh. The atmosphere so dreamy and still that Chooley had to shush. Up ahead, growing bigger and bigger, was a shape all misty and grey. If that's the moon, the tortoise thought, it sure looks different by day. The earth looked like a little ball, with colours blue and green, woolly clouds all around it, the sweetest sight to be seen. The engine noise had faded into a great long whoo. The rocket dropped just gently, with Chooley ready too. Then crash and bump, 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 The rocket landed safe at last. Chooley fell off into the dust, thinking about her past. Everywhere she looked the ground was covered in craters dusty. She thought her lush green garden, and even the shed was musty. From the rocket came a rasping sound, like breathing under water. Chooley was hiding under her shell. She was her father's daughter. The strange creature bounded over. With her disguise as a stone, he picked her up and stared at her. Suddenly she felt all alone. She needn't have worried at all. Dave the astronaut was her friend. She introduced herself brightly, and all was well in the end. They pushed their flags into the dust, a great achievement truly. It's one small step for man, and one giant leap for Chooley. "Can I give you a lift home?" asked Dave. "Let's go back to our nation," said Chooley. "I've seen enough of the moon. It's more boring than hibernation." It didn't take long to get back. Soon they splashed down in the sea. Said Chooley, "Give me dry land. This wet stuff's not for me." Dave was such a busy man, with no time for garden or pets. "My neighbours would love you to join them, but that's as good as it gets." Chooley was given to Dave's neighbours and put in their garden with the gnome. At once she knew just where she was. There's really no place like home. Dad said, "Must have dozed off." Mum said, "Where have you been?" "You'll never believe what happened," she said, and told them all she had seen, thinking God who made the universe was looking after me, and all my mum's concerned about is that I nearly missed my tea. "Those old cabbages give me bad dreams," Dad said as he thought out loud. He dodged Mum's mop, gave a great big wink, but was secretly very proud. Mum could hardly believe it. "The first tortoise on the moon!" With the biggest grin she hugged her close, saying, "Glad you came back so soon."